I am so excited because I finally captured Ronit Enos to be able to interview her for the Next Level Salon Leadership podcast. Ronit, I've been wanting to do this for the longest time, ever since your book came out on the Salon Profit First for Salons, which is crazy because Sean and I, with our Next Level Salon Leadership company, we had always had, we do this every time. Every time that we have a brand new salon that we're coaching, we have them read the book Profit First. But now we have them read Profit First for Salons. I mean, how genius of you to take that book and transcribe it for salon owners. I cannot thank you enough, because coaches across the country are probably thinking, oh my gosh, thank you, because this is desperately needed in the salon business, and especially today. So first of all, thank you for being on the podcast.
Tina, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I've always wanted to be on your podcast, and we have done a couple of things together, but I just don't think there's enough things that we can do together and make, impact other people's lives in some way or another. So thank you for having me.
I love this so much. Okay, so as you heard it, she's an Amazon bestseller for the book Profit First for Salon. So hop on Amazon right now and order that book while we're talking here on the interview. And by the way, if you want to hear the full interview, you got to go to our YouTube channel, Next Level Salon Leadership, and you can also see Ronit and who she is and why we love her so much as well too. So okay, so here we go. Interesting enough, and I love this. You had a salon that you took to a 7-figure salon. And this was years ago, right? And so I love that so much. And so then because of that, you started this salon cadence company, which actually really helps single moms. Can you tell a little bit of that story, Ronit, of how that came about and why you do that?
Oh, of course. First of all, if anybody is interested in the book, I would highly suggest that you would start with our book page, profitfirstsalons.com. I mean, we can put it in the chat or later, because when you do purchase that book, you can actually reach out, and there's a little tab over there that if you click on that, you get all the resources that are going to help you actually implement that. It's like a really good workbook with it. So, and it's totally complimentary. It goes with the book. It's awesome. So if you guys want to do that, that would be awesome. Now, so how did we start? Well, I mean, maybe I'll take it all the way back to when I was a little kid. I grew up in Israel, and I served the Israeli army. And even before that, I grew up in a house that had 2 parents that constantly did not get along. My mother, she's such a liberal woman, and every time she would get her first paycheck, she would come home and says, "Hey, I got my paycheck, let's go have fun." So fun would be, yeah, let's go get ice cream, maybe we'll eat something, go see a movie, and let's go shopping a little bit. We can get shoes, we can get some good jeans. This is how I started the love for shoes, and then, but my father was completely the other way. He was very frugal. Yeah. Oh, maybe I would actually say he was really stingy. It's probably better to say that. So you could only imagine, the quarrels and the fights that were always going between them. And it was always mainly based on freedom and money. So when I went through all of it, my mother, at one point really wanted to get a divorce, but the Jewish religion, the husband does not allow you to get divorced. In order to get divorced, the husband has to allow you to in front of a rabbi. Even till today, if you can even imagine that. So it was tough, really tough for my mom to get freedom. But the one time that she finally did get some freedom, and he said, okay, he literally said to her, well, if I'm going to give you that, I'm okay with that, but I'm going to keep my brothers, Sagi, and you can have the girls. And so my mother had to make a choice of freedom or this. And even though the lawyers have 100% recommended her to go ahead, just say yes, and we'll get my brother afterwards. We'll fight for him back, and we're definitely going to get him back. Well, the thing is, we never did. And then within the next few years, I would say 20 years, it's been a really difficult time to go through it. But the one thing that when I saw how this all perspire, I said to myself, there is no way in the world ever that or there shouldn't be any situation where a mother or a woman has to choose between freedom or children, or for the sake of wealth or the sake of freedom. So ever since then, I pretty much was on a mission that no matter what we do in life, no matter who I get to know in life, I will always be in a position where I help women not to make a choice or not to have to make a choice like that. So the next, evolution of the next 20 years, this is literally everything that I have done was created to make a woman always feel competent and confidence to create their own wealth and not have to be independent. Now, years later, things are fine. We all grew up okay, thank God. We're a very close family. Even my father has done a lot of good changes, and things are really good now, but it definitely made a huge impact in my life and brought me to where I am today. So that's kind of how everything that we have done or I have accomplished in my life was always geared to help a woman create wealth and happiness in her life and confidence. So that's it. Now, Salon Cadence is a white glove teaching and training company that was born to help, just like me. I was a stylist and I was a salon owner. And when I I had 2 salons. And when I built my first one, I literally, no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I've done, and I had 2 little children, I always came back home and I thought to myself, man, I just worked so hard and I never get that paycheck. The paycheck that I want, the paycheck that says it's all worth it, right? And I really did everything, Tina. I did everything I was taught to do. I was a good student. I had great consultants, good coaches. I've read many books. And no matter what I've done, I was still not able to get that freedom, the not being a slave to the time devil, not being a slave to your job, to your work, and not even have a paycheck to say, okay, this is worth it. Yeah. So over the years, I realized that there are some people out there that are very successful, that they are doing something that I'm not doing, and what is it? And so I decided to step away from the industry and go see what other people are doing that I have not implemented yet. And when I discovered what it is, I said to myself, oh my God, I'm going to implement those 3 things. And then one of the things that were is how to run your cash flow the right way. Because 95% of businesses are running paycheck to paycheck. 70% of businesses don't make it at all. In 5 years, they close. And I knew that I wanted to be part of the 5%. And so it was very difficult, no matter what I've done. At the end of the year, I would go to my accountant. And I was so scared to go to the accountant because what kind of a progress report I'm going to get from him? It's like going to the teacher, did I do good or did I not do good, So you know how that is, Tina. So I went, and every year he says, Ronit, you're amazing. You did so great. You were so profitable. You were 20% profitable. You even have extra, $120,000, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, great. Where's the money? Because it's not in my bank account. So obviously I was doing something wrong. But you know what I found out, Tina? It's really simple. Most Fortune 500 run their businesses on a completely different system than the way we are brought up. You see that the profit and loss statements and the balance sheet statements are really not going to give you a true view of what your business really is financially. And so that happens to a lot of small businesses. And when I talk about small businesses, I'm talking not only the hair industry, it is all the industries, anything up to $20 million. They just have no idea how to look at numbers. And, you know, I never had that financial savviness to understand that. And so when I read the book by Mike Michalowicz, I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm just simple stupid. Why have I not done that? And it's because we were, it's not our fault. We were taught the gap system, and it just doesn't work. It just does not work, no matter how savvy you are. And if Fortune 500 uses a different system, how come I'm not? If Google uses that, why am I not doing it? And we implemented that right away, and we had a phenomenal success. Our trajectory needle went up in the first year by 35%. You know, I was able to take a nice paycheck home and be profitable, like really good profitable. You know, they say, Tina, that if you are 10% profitable in our industry, then you're doing well. And quite frankly, it's bullshit. You could determine how profitable you want to be. And there's a system and a simple system behind it to support it.
Yeah, well said. Oh my gosh. You're speaking my language here. And I actually did the same thing. I didn't understand my numbers. And I remember even when we first started our schools, our first school, I didn't understand them. And then I remember my business partner said, you've got to know your numbers. And so how do you do it? You have your accountant train you. But so I did for years. Well, then I go to Mike's book and I'm like, wait a minute, now I got to train my accountant. Like, this is really what I need. I did go to your website, profitfirstsalons.com, and I downloaded those forms. And I do want to kind of talk about a little bit of these forms as well, too. But before we do that, I love the quote that you had in your book: the key to transforming your salon has nothing to do with the business model or the systems or the staff. It has everything to do with understanding your numbers. And I truly believe if you want to go to the next level in your business, it starts here, understanding your numbers. And that's why I always start with numbers. And it's interesting, Ronit, and I'm wondering if you run across this too. Every time I start to coach a salon, especially a salon that's been around for quite a few years, and I'll ask them, you know, what is your profit margin? You know, what is your net profit percentage? And they have no idea. And they haven't even looked at their profit and loss statement ever. And in fact, they don't even have one. And so it's like halfway into the year and they don't have one from last year. And so they have to back up and get that to me, and it'll take months to get that. And so it's hard for me to coach them when I don't have any numbers, you know, a scorecard to look at. Do you find this as well too? And how do you start with coaching your salon owners when this happens?
Oh my God, Tina, you and I can have a big glass of, I don't know, wine, huge one, and talk about it for days. But here's what really truly happened, right? And can I just tell you, this was me. I was there. I mean, the one story that and maybe I'll tell it a little bit later, but here's what really happens. And most people say, you know, I cannot find great employees. Gen Zs are like, what kind of a generation is Gen Z? I mean, 10 years ago, it's like, what kind of a generation is millennium? So, you know, there's always complaints of like, you know, there's not enough schools, they're not good schools, I can't find the right people. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. But the truth is, these are all excuses, all of them.
Yeah.
And yes, you have to know those numbers, and the numbers are so simple. They're so simple. If I learn them, anybody else can learn them. And then I will say that, but that's not the challenge. That's not the very first problem. Okay. The very first problem is truly time. And so why do we focus, and why is our mission always on women and single mom, is because we wear so many hats. So as a salon owner, you wear millions of hats. And so the first thing we do with our clients, and we do not work with startups as much as I love them, and I've been in a startup, and I'm even a mentor in universities for startup companies, but we start with people that are established, and they are so tangled and mangled that we have to unmangle all of those things. And the number one most important thing that I find the hardest thing is letting go. Letting go. In order to grow, you gotta let go. If you are in the business to build a company, if you promise your employees promises, if you promise your children that you're going to spend time with them, if you promise yourself that you're going to invest in real estate, that you're going to invest in growth, if you're building something that is going to impact other people's life, then you stop being selfish and continue wearing all those hats. So where it starts is taking your calendar and finding at least 5 to 10 hours a week in your calendar and block them. 100% block them. Okay? That means those hours are not to be utilized for anything else other than working on your business. So that's where we see where the problems are. In our company, we have bookkeepers, we have accountants, we have attorneys. When I went through coaching companies in my past, all those resources I didn't have, and I had to find time to look for that. But as a father of 2 children and running a big corporation, how do I find time to really find the right person? So what we decided to do is to have a holistic approach to our entrepreneurs, our moms, that they don't have to go anywhere looking for everything. We have everything in our company. And so in the beginning, it's the time that is the most important thing, because, and this came to me in the beginning when I thought, well, really it's important to me to make more money. So I would squeeze more appointments. I would take another client. I would look in the book. I was one of those owners who would look at my, I would look at the front desk and I would say, oh, you can squeeze that person in. Oh, you can have more, squeeze that one in, get another time in there. But at the end of the day, you have to value time more than money. And so that's where it starts, Tina. That's where it is. Because when you have time, you can read the book, you can apply things, you can hire a coach, you can work with a coach. And so that's how we do it right now. So we work with them. We go first to find that time. We reorganize their life. And then we reorganize their books. And what we have learned, Tina, that as much as they're amazing hairdressers out there, there are also some not so good hairdressers, right?
Right.
Same thing with bookkeepers, same thing with accountants.
Right.
So we make sure that the accountants and the bookkeepers are delivering the exact things that we need to help you learn those numbers. And then the second thing we do is we hire with you the most important position that you need in the company in order to grow to the next level.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's huge. I'm learning already so much from you, Ronit, and I realize I need you in my life for sure. I do want to talk about some of those resources you have on your website. And one of them is the target allocation percentages. Where do people find those numbers to be able to build that in? But before we do that, I want to jump into, because what really intrigued me in your book, and I love it so much, is your burnout model and your owner success model. I thought that was so powerful. And I love what you said. No freedom means you're slave to the time devil, which I love this so much. And then the other part of burnout is the client experience, poor recruiting, team inconsistency, unprofitable, no control numbers, and low clarity. I love that so much. And then let's jump into the owner success model, which is just the opposite, which you have mindset and clarity, sales, profit first accounting, employee journey, recruiting and onboarding, legendary client journey, and branding, marketing, automation. Can you talk a little bit about that first? I gotta know what that is.
Yeah, now we need margarita. Now we moved from wine to margarita.
From wine to margaritas.
Oh my God. Yeah, and Tina, where are you in Florida? Are you in Fort Myers?
So yes, we have a school in Fort Myers and a school in Sarasota.
I was just there. I should have called you. I mean, I was booked like every minute of the day, but I should have, because we could have had a margarita and we could have talked a lot about those things.
For hours.
There, I'm calling you.
Yes, thank you.
So let's see. Where should I start? As a business owner, as a leader, I think you want to hire only A players, only.
Yeah.
Okay. And to hire A players, you need a team that is going to help you execute on your vision. Okay. Yeah. Somebody who's going 100% with your vision, but it also, they're hungry for your vision. They really want. So you need to hire A players. Well, A player costs money, good enough money. Nobody wants to work cheap, because guess what? They want the same thing. They want to have time with their families. They want to have, all of the good things that you want. So in order to be able to do it, you need to make money. And you need to learn how to multiply that money, how that money works for you and for your company, and also how to keep that money growing. And when we work with our members in Salon Cadence, that's the first thing we work on, is finding that. So how do you create that wealth? What do you do in order to create that wealth? So I'm trying to kind of like summarize everything you were asking me. So if you could just ask me one question, what's the most important one? Because I want to make sure that I give you the right answer.
I think it goes back to the priority management. So, and I always talk about the 3 R's. And the first one is, as an owner, what's the most important thing that's required of me as an owner, besides, which goes right along with knowing your numbers, obviously, but looking at that owner success model with the mindset and clarity, sales, profit first accounting, employees journey, recruiting and onboarding. Where do I start here to build that owner success model in my life?
First of all, the number one thing that you want to start is knowing what you want.
Yeah.
What do you want out of your life? How much money do you want to make? So you really have to go really straight with yourself and be very honest and say, what do I want to make? And when I say, what do you want to make? I don't want you to think about paying your bills. I want you to dream big, because you can make this all be big for you. Yeah. So what does that mean? Do you want to make $150,000 a year? Then that's what you need to think about. And then you need to say to yourself, well, why? Why do I want to make $150,000? So that's number one. You have to realize, what is the amount that you want to have? What is that money going to do for you? That's the second question. The third thing you want to ask is, how or what do I want my company to do? How is that going to impact other people's life? And then what I mean by that is, so if you're going to open a salon, you're going to open an eyebrow lash, business or whatever that is, a med spa, a wellness center, what are you actually going to do to help other people become happy? What are the things? And when you identify what's your mission, for example, and I'll give you an example. For example, if you wanted to create a business that is only focus on blondes or only focus on hair restoration. There has to be a reason behind it, right? What's the reason behind it? So the reason behind it is, let's say, I come from a severe cancer in my family. A lot of women lost their hair. This has really impacted my life, and I want to be able to help women that have lost their hair. This is why I want to have a hair restoration company. So yes, you can do any kind of hair. You can do color, you can do cuts, any kind of a services, but your niche is going to be helping women feel beautiful even when they lose their hair. How can I make them feel? That's very dear to me, right? Now I know for a fact, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I serving? So now I know what kind of a staff, an A player I'm going to hire. If it's going to be somebody that doesn't want to do that, then that person is not for me. If I'm going to hire somebody that doesn't care much about that, then that person is not for me, because they're not going to be able to execute on my vision. And so when I know all these answers, when I start this answer, now I know what I'm going to put out there to the world. Now, the next thing that I need to do, because I have clarity now, I need to say to myself, how do I want to work? Do I want to work 5 days in my business? Do I want to work 4 days? There's 52 weeks. How many weeks do I want to take off? Right? Now, here's why it's so important. Because if you're going to say, I only want to work 48 weeks a year, then I need to make sure that my top line covers that 48 weeks as if it was 52 weeks. Does that make sense? No, a lot of us say, I want to take 4 weeks vacation, but every time we take vacation, what do we do? What do we do? We work our bum off 2 weeks before, and when we come back, we work. No, that's not taking a vacation. And you don't have to do that, right? And so if you are going to do all those things, what happens is you're going to burn out. And most owners and stylists become a burnout, right? And so how to avoid it is knowing all those things. And now that you know them, you need to take your cash, your numbers, and make sure that you have that cash flow profit system that will allow you to execute on your vision.
Yeah, it's huge. I love this so much. And one of the things I noticed that salon owners really get stuck in, and this happens in even stylists, they get stuck in this. And we've been seeing this across the country. And I'd love to get your take on this, Ronit, too, is, I want to make more money. So therefore, I'm going to go and I'm going to leave this salon team environment and just go work in like a salon suite. I'll work by myself because, and this is what I hear them say, because I can collect 100%, right? But I always let them know, like, okay, yeah, maybe you're going to collect a few more percentage points than what you're collecting in a W-2 employee, but without the support. And now you don't have the freedom that you used to have. You think you do, but you really don't have that freedom, because now you're working 80 hours a week to make ends meet. But instead, what I'm trying to work with stylists and future salon owners is how to make that passive income, right? Instead of just the active income. How do I make money while I'm sitting on the beach? What does that look like? And you've got to have a team to make that happen, right? And so can you kind of talk a little bit about that? What's your perspective as far as salon owners, like solopreneurs versus entrepreneurs, and how do you coach them through the process?
Well, okay, so ready for that, Tina?
Ready.
I absolutely love solopreneurs.
Yeah,
I do, because any person wants to grow. Anyone.
Yeah.
The minute you stop growing and you get stagnant and you die. You absolutely die. So those solopreneurs are our future salon owners. So I want to help them.
Yeah.
I want to help them and we do have a program just for them, helping them go to that next level. But for the people who have been in salons and got burned out,
yeah,
because they work the bum off and they're not making any money, or they think they're not making any money, and they want to go and work on their own because they will make more money. It's okay. You know, that might be what fits them right now.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they also have to do the math for solopreneurs. You have to give Uncle Sam 10% at minimum out of your earnings. You just have to. So there's a formula for that. It's really simple. It's 10% for Uncle Sam, 10 to 15% for Uncle Sam. Then it's 50% for yourself. You have to pay yourself 50%. And then if you pay Uncle Sam 15%, because you're going to have to, then now we're looking at 65% of paying that. Now you have to at least pay your company, whoever it is, at least 20%, right? And the rest has to be operations for your operations. So if you're a solopreneur, that's the formula you should go by, and you're going to be fine. But here's what really happened. Since we don't know our numbers, because I was a solopreneur at one point, since we don't know our numbers, we end up cheating ourselves and we're not paying ourselves enough money. So what happens is, it happens the same thing that happens to any owner that owns 3 companies with 30 employees. We get burned out and we can't take enough time off. And when we do take time off, our head is always there. Now, there's always going to be those 5% exceptionals that are doing phenomenal. And for them, hallelujah, you've done great. And at one point, you know, we as an owner have to think about, well, why did our people left?
Right.
Why are they opening? Why are they going to a suites? And at the end of the day, did you know, Tina, that 41% of today workforce, 41%, they want to leave their company because they're not making enough money. Right. So yes, I have heard millions of times that the number one, what people want to stay is because they want to work with great managers. The number 2, why they love working here is because it gives them a career path, a growth path. The number 3, why they really want to stay here is because they're busy and they're not, you know, they feel like they're self-development. And only afterwards it's about money. But the truth is 65% of employees in any business think every day about going to work somewhere else.
Right.
And an owner doesn't know who that person is. Right. So why not do something different so people don't have to feel like they have to?
Yeah.
Because they need their money. And especially in 2023 and 24, people are really worried about money. And so the only way to do it is to create the perfect profit plan and cash flow plan, so you support your team to get exactly what they need. So when you ask me, what do I think about those solopreneurs, and when you go to their suite, the long answer for that would be, they're just like you and me. They want the same thing.
Yeah.
So we need to look at this. How can we make it happen for them?
I love that so much. And I love the owners that train the solopreneurs on numbers, right? And so I think that's so important, like you were saying, to be able to train them, like, okay, you still have to understand your numbers. Like, you're not going to pocket all of that money. You have to pay Uncle Sam first, like you said. And so the breakdown is the same, right, that it is for any owner. And I love that, which takes me to that target allocation percentages. Share with our audience today, how do you fill that number in? Where do you get those numbers? You have the revenue range. So it's based on your revenue range. And so you give like the what it should be, right? The benchmarks, and then you can fill in your numbers there. So let's say if you make less than 250,000 a year, the real revenue, like you said, it says 100%, the profit is 5%, the owners pay 50%, tax 15%, and operating expenses 30%. Does this come straight from your yearly annual profit and loss statement? Where does these numbers come from?
Oh, so the profit first does not go by the profit and loss statement. Profit and loss statement is just great to look at what expenses have come in and what expenses have gone out. You really want to look at them so you're able to know oh, I can cut here or I can shave here. We recommend in the very first, when we work with our clients, the very first 3 months, we already give them 10% profit. So that's our goal. And every customers we work with, every salon owner, no matter what size, we are able to improve the profit in the very first 3 months by 10%. That's our goal. Okay. If you think about it, if we can improve it in 3 months by 10%, can you see incrementally the impact that you do on your bottom line? Okay. So it's important to have a top line revenue and grow your revenue, but it's important to really focus on your bottom line. And so we don't use the P&L for that. Remember, that's how we were taught, and that's why we're not successful.
Right.
What we're saying is that, and you can look at the assessment and assess your own company with those documents you download. Like if you're in the C column and you're making anywhere between, $500,000 to let's say to I don't know, $1 million. If you're in that range, then depends whether you're high or you're lower end, really depends on that, is that you're able to pay your company. What you need to take in that level is to pay your company 5% profit, and that needs to go into your profit account. And then owner's pay should be 15% of that. Okay, so if you're at 500K a year, then you know how much you need to get paid as an owner income. Now, there's 3 owners that needs to get paid when you run a business. Number 1 is Uncle Sam. We have to pay him money, otherwise we're going to be in jail. We don't want to be in jail. So for that, we as a whole tax for the whole company, we would like to recommend to be at 15%. And owner paycheck for myself should be 15% if you're at the C level. And if you are, sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. You can cut that off.
Yeah.
So when you are the 15% is the owner income, and the third person you want to pay is your company, because the company has to accumulate their company share. And so we're not going to go deep into the learning of the profit first. It's a really a simple system, but there's also other layers to it. But in the beginning, that's what you should pay yourself. And then everything else should go to your operation expenses. Now, this is your best case scenario. But when you start, you need to assess where are you right now? You know where you need to go. And now you're going to set your allocation of what you're going to do every month and allocate that money in order to grow that money. You're not going to start at the toppest level. You're going to start small steps. And typically it takes any of our customers, or I've worked with thousands of salons. It takes a little time and you're going to reach to the top level. But what's great is you immediately become profitable when you implement that.
Yeah.
So that was in an example of how it is. Now, we had beta for 2 years, and then we really shifted to the salon. So even though Profit First has a standard, you have to adjust it to your industry. So that's what we did.
Yeah. That's why I was so happy that you adjusted it, because we had to adjust it on our own in our heads when we read the book, but then you wrote the book. And so now we have to go back and reinvent ourselves and go to the next level again. So I'm super excited about this, because we're going to have our salon partners. We have 4 salons and 4 salon partners read this book together so that we can grow together in the numbers, because we really want them to understand this and this aspect. And so my next question is that I want to hear from you, and thank you for being on this podcast. I wish we could do this for hours. And so I know we're coming to the end. I'd love to hear one of your favorite success stories that you've had with one of your salon owners.
Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, let's see. I can always tell, as you know, I'll tell you Amy and Anna, those two. Amy came to me saying, Ronit, I'm just so burned out. I'm so stuck behind the chair. And I want to have a kid. I want to be pregnant. And I can't get pregnant. And I try, and that's my dream. And I feel like my time is running out, and I feel like I'm stuck. I'm in a mud. Every one step forward, I move 2 steps backwards. I just don't know how to move forward, and I've tried it so hard. And the other thing that she wanted, Amy, is she wanted to really buy her own property and have her salon lives in her property. And so when we started working with Amy, we focused on her dream of what she really wanted. And we created the strategy and the plan for her. And it was hard. It wasn't easy. We had to switch a few things. We had to maneuver a few things. But by installing Salon Cadence system and by helping her, we took 3 big steps. We knew what we wanted to do, and we created a blueprint for her that will allow her to step away from the chair completely. So once we've done that, we helped her do that. The company was not relying on her income anymore or on her physical being in the company. So we moved her, and it wasn't until, I would say, a year later, she was able to have her first baby. So she had her first baby. So that's a great story. And 3 months ago, Amy opened her new location where she owned the whole building, some retail stores in there, and she moved her salon to that. And all this through pandemic, you know, through the struggles that we all had through it. So that's a huge success story for me, because as a woman, you work so hard and you want to be a mother and you want to be able to be with your child, you know. And so she has her days that she's with her child, and she has days that she is working on her business. And now her next level of success is that she's opening another department, another revenue stream. So we created 3 revenue streams for Amy, and she's amazing. So that was one.
That's amazing. And that's always been my goal too, is building revenue streams for every single one of my staff members in my schools and my salons. And that's huge, because I think it goes back to that passive income again too, you know. And as an owner, as a business owner, as a leader, this is what we're supposed to strive to do for our team, right? Not just for ourselves, but for our team too. So I love this, and I love your company so much, Ronit. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Okay, my last question I have for you, because I know we're come to the end. And first of all, the best way to find you, it looks like it's profitfirstsalons.com. Is that right? Is there any other way to find you?
Oh, we are definitely, if you go to Instagram, you can find me Ronit.Enos at Instagram. So that would be me. We have Profitable Salon and Spa Facebook. It's free Facebook group. You can come and join us. We teach Profit First on that group all the time. And we are launching for anybody who is, you know, a company that are in the mid 500 and want to get to the 7 figures. We're launching something that calls the VIP Day, where we're going to teach you how to do that. So, and you can find us anywhere there. You can go to saloncadence.com. I'm really approachable, so you can shoot me an email anytime.
Yes, you are. I love this so much. Okay, so the last question I have for you, because in your book, and you got to get the book, by the way, like right now, everyone just go to that website and order the book. But you said how to increase profits, and you give a list and you give directions on this. And one was adjusting your pricing, improving your time standards, lowering your expenses, increasing retail sales, raise your productivity. Where should a salon start? So let's say a salon is looking at this list. Where do you think is the easiest way to get a big win right away, so they continue to work in these areas?
I would say figure out what your cost per hour
Okay,
to be in business, and where are you with the income per hour. Figure those two numbers, and it's in the book. The whole process in the book. Once you understand where you are in relationship, then you will know whether you're profitable or not. And 70% you're not.
right.
So then what you want to do is you want to look at, well, how much profit do you want to have? And we talked about it. We have to give Uncle Sam 15%. We talk about that we need to get paid 10%. So see the relationship where how much you paying yourself to the 10%. And then we need to put 10% to profit. So we're looking at minimum, we want to increase it by 30%, that average hour.
Okay.
Okay, so figure that one out. And just to make it really simple, look at your prices and see.
Yeah.
Are there where they need to be in order to be at 30% profit, which includes your owner's income. So I think that's the best place to start. And everything else comes along on top of that, just go step by step by the book, and you'll be fine. You'll do way fine, especially in 2023. We have to start thinking about, sometimes we have to think about less transactional and more significant.
Yeah.
And that means that if we have the responsibility of having employees and staff members, and we have the responsibility for our body and our mind, we have the responsibility for our family, then we need to start building wealth now.
Yep. Oh, yes. It's a sacred responsibility. I've been saying that for years, to be able to lead people. And it's such an honor to be able to help people to reach their dreams and goals. So Ronit, one last piece of advice that you want to give salon owners that you've been dying to tell people and that they need to know as we end this out. And thank you again for doing this.
I cherish what you're doing, Tina. So I would recommend 100% to everybody who listens to this podcast to listen to Tina and to follow Tina's guidance, because it comes from the heart. It's because she cares. Look at what she built. Look at what she's doing. She's putting together some strong women together. And only because you want to impact others people's life. And I think right there is my biggest advice.
Oh, thank you, Ronit. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for being on this podcast. You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you, Tina. It's great to be here. I appreciate all you do.
All right. We'll talk soon. I'm going to need your help. Thanks, Ronit. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.